Ladies and gents, welcome back. It's really important that we cover these kinds of stories because the mainstream media refuses to. So it's up to independent journalists and pundits like me to get this information out and for you guys to share it as much as you can. But I'm going to start with a fake news headline that just cracked me up. And this is a faked CBC News headline, because the CBC News is not covering this story, but Dutch Prime Minister declares a state of emergency, claims the farm protests are being orchestrated by Canadian militia group known as Diagolon. Of course, this is a meme because Diagolon's a fake thing that our Canadian government used to invoke the Emergencies Act. But here's the real story. Breaking: Dutch farmers break into Dutch Air Force base and takes fighter jet to protest government tyranny. I haven't verified this, but this is something else. Anyway, here's some verifiable news. One thing I know is Kian Bext from the Countersignal is over in the Netherlands. A bunch of other independent journalists are heading over there now to cover this story as much as possible. But here he writes, when I booked my flights to the Netherlands, I didn't plan to stay long. The lack of mainstream media coverage and global interest shows that I need to stay longer. I've been on hold with Air Canada for 2 hours to change my imminent flights. What the hell? Answer the phone. Well, you're not the only one. Air Canada is in disarray at the moment. But here we are from the Countersignal. Kian Bext putting this article out. Several Dutch protesters say they were inspired by the Canadian Freedom Convoy and Canadian truckers earlier this year. And yeah, this is Kian Bext on the street, getting out there and speaking with these people, speaking with TSC, the Countersignal editor-in-chief, Kian Bext, outside the protest last night. Dutch protesters said, Sanders said, and I'll just let him say in his own words because he has the video here. And this is the Dutch farmer and protester.
Well, I think lots of people got inspired by the Freedom Convoy in Canada way before when the COVID protests started in Holland. So lots of people followed the truckers in Canada. And some of those people are joining the convoys in the Netherlands to support the farmers. And some farmers are of course aware, and especially truckers who join convoys as well. They especially truckers followed the convoys in Canada. Well, I think.
So what's happening in the Netherlands right now is there's a land grab. The government's using World Economic Forum policies that they had handed down to them to get in, and using the excuse of too much nitrogen being produced on these farms, they have said you're gonna sell us your farmland and we're gonna turn it into an estuary, leave room for nature, as they said on the Georgia Guidestones, which I referred to yesterday. Incidentally, somebody blew those things up, but we have more farmers saying like, no, you can't just take people's livelihoods away and expect them to just take that. Here's another farmer, Kian Bext, interviewed yesterday.
So just yesterday, a young boy was shot at and is under arrest right behind us.
He's under arrest sent to prison here, yes.
Is it normal in the Netherlands for the police to shoot?
No. Only when it's life-threatening for them, they can shoot. But that was not life-threatening.
Do you think that the Prime Minister has created a climate where the police think that they're allowed to do stuff like this?
Yes.
What are the consequences? What does that mean?
It means that on this moment, for minor things, they can arrest you or shoot you and put you in jail.
Did you see the protests in Canada?
Yes, I have seen them. Yes.
Do you think it's a similar situation?
Yes, the majority is the same. Yes.
What do the farmers want?
The farmers want a stable future, a normal, stable future, and not like what now is happening. They buy the farm, and they are gone. That's the problem. They want to live.
You told me earlier that they have no future and they were hanging themselves. Is that something that people are aware of? Is that a crisis right now?
Yes, this is a crisis. Yes, certain.
What do you want to tell the world?
Look to other things to solve. It's not only a farmer. It's the cars, airplanes, you name it. Look to China. They don't regulate the emissions. They don't.
All right.
Why not look at them? Why look your farmer? The farmer is the one who gives you the food, who makes your life.
That's probably the greatest point right there. Most people who've been critical of these environmental policies that have been going on around the Western world have been saying, well, if there's so much criticism for the environment and you care so much about the globe, why don't we take care of all the worst emitters? But, we all know the answer to that. We have farmers have taken over Amsterdam Square. The sign reads, "War has begun. We are winning." And, well, gathering support. And this is why the mainstream media does not want this out there, is because the more information gets out about it, the more support they gather. And just like the Canadian truckers, the support is immense. Kean Beck's also putting this out. I read this yesterday, but I'll read it again. The farmer protests in Netherlands are 100% peaceful. They're outraged, yes, but the protesters and their leadership of them are committed to non-violence. The police, well, not so much. And it's getting around the world. So we have some coverage in Sky News Australia. I mean, I'm reaching all the way to Australia to give you some mainstream news coverage. I'm sure we'll get maybe something out of our news, but they've been quiet, very, very quiet on this so far. But here's a little taste from Rowan Dean compares Trudeau to the Netherlands PM Mark Rutte and calls him golden pinup boys for Klaus Schwab and the globalist fantasists of the World Economic Forum.
Somewhere else that seems to be sliding into dictatorship is Holland, which may not entirely be a coincidence. The similarities between Canada and Holland are as startling as they are disturbing. Here's Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, leader of the laughably and ironically named People's Party for Freedom and Democracy. Apart from obviously sharing the same wacky lefty sense of humour, those two both are, of course, golden pin-up boys for Klaus Schwab and the globalist fantasists of the World Economic Forum. Only a few months ago, it was the Canadian government that attacked its own citizens in the most grotesque and terrifyingly authoritarian manner during the so-called truckers' convoy revolts, when the government actually froze the bank accounts and basically starved out any individuals involved in what was legitimate, peaceful, democratic opposition to COVID mandates. That ended badly for Trudeau, particularly after this shameful incident in which Canadian mounted police trampled over a peaceful woman protester.
I'm going to have to obscure this because of the nature of the footage, unfortunately, because, well, YouTube does not want that seen on the channel. I covered this, and those videos got, well, they got restricted beyond reaching anybody after that. But yes, this is the footage of the woman, that elder Native woman who was trampled by the RCMP during the the Canadian trucker protest. And yeah, that's the the opinion of Sky News' Rowan Dean. Now, I just thought of this. Mark Rutte seems like the Netherlands are in a bit of a rut at the moment. But I digress. That's all I have for you this morning on this story. But I do want to leave this open-ended. And I would encourage people to share this out, like this video or other videos on the subject, because the mainstream media is ignoring this protest, just like they did the Canadian truckers. But it comes at a cost to the media organizations. But here's how it works. First, they ignore you. Then they ridicule you when they can't ignore you any further. And then they fight you, and then you win. Those are the words of Mahatma Gandhi. And those are the words that the Canadian truckers were using. And it's just accelerating. But now it's a global fight against these globalists. So keep tuned in. If you're new to the channel, so hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button and the notification bell, so when Bill C-11 comes around, you'll actually be able to see this channel. Anyway, we'll see you in the next video. Looking forward to reading your comments, and keep on trucking.